Cool. So recording we are. So Annette, you already know that I love your book, PR Genie, Publicity Genie. In our group we've got a really varied audience of businesses at different stages of their life cycle, but they're all pretty much in the startup mode. Can we just start at the beginning and can you explain what PR is and what it is to small business?
Yeah, absolutely. So PR, if we're looking at like the academic definition of it, is the act of public relations, of sharing your message across the media, typically with newspapers, radio, TV, magazines, that type of thing. Now in the digital age, there are just so many more options for people to publicise what they're doing, that you've got podcasts, blogs, webinars like this, writing books. There's just so many different ways. But for me, the definition of PR is powerful relationships. So, and you do that through the art of sharing your story. And whatever that is, it can be your business story, it could be your personal story, it could be the story of a product, it could be the story of an activity. And you share that where your target audience is living, so that they may read the newspaper, they may not. Mm-hmm. So there's a whole lot of activity that has to happen before you take your story out there. So powerful relationships, relationships with journalists, relationships with your audience, relationship with your prospective audience. So mm-hmm. It's all about connecting with them, giving them what they want. So a journalist wants a good story, and what does your prospective client or customer want? They want great service, they want a great product, but they want to know you care. So public relations is everything you say, everything you do, and everything that people say about you. And when we're thinking about social media, is nowadays, I sound old when I say that, nowadays your public and your private blend. The line's really blurred now. Like I do a lot of posting on my business page, but I post a lot about my business on my personal page, which also has stuff about my kids, the bands that I'm seeing, the parties I'm going to, and my thoughts. So you also have to be really careful about what you're presenting on your pages. So,
so
don't
it's very
do
much
really stupid things.
Yes, good to remember. So in terms of what you're talking about and branding, what people think, what they know, etc. And there's so many public relations outlets. It seems really overwhelming to businesses starting out. And some of the businesses I work with say, well, I don't have a story, I'm only little, nobody's going to be interested. Is that true from a journalist perspective?
No, not at all. No, what does a journalist want most of all? They want a great story. So they're really keen and they're hungry for great stories. The challenge is that more and more people are realising the power of public relations, and more people are trying to tap into that. So you've got to find a way to stand out.
How do we do that?
And the way to stand out, well, that's through unique angles of your story. So if you go back, and this is where relationships come in. So let's say you want to get a story in the Townsville Bulletin. So you go to the business pages and go back a few months. See what type of stories they've run in the past. See what they're not talking about, so that you can offer a different view or an alternative perspective or a controversial perspective on a topic that you're passionate about that they may not be talking about. So the whole idea of an angle is coming up with something different. Mm-hmm. So if it's Christmas time and, there's a call out for, we want some tips on, the best ways to get fit, stay fit over Christmas, don't roll out what everybody else is saying. Look for something a little different. I've got an example. So I answered a call out for a client. She's a nutritionist and she packs her pantry like there's a zombie apocalypse coming. So it's just filled with tins and beans, like all types of awesome things.
Mm-hmm.
And the call out was for women who prepare food weeks in advance and freeze it. I went, well, she doesn't really do that, but her pantry is stocked for just about any occasion. So I pitched that angle.
Okay.
So, yeah, no, she doesn't freeze her food, but here's what she does. So if 10 people walk in the door, she's got everything that she needs to make a feast. They
Mm-hmm.
loved it. Now, this story appeared in the Herald Sun. It was a double-page spread, and her picture took up a third of that page. So this is a tabloid-sized paper. So if you think, you know, her full head
Mm-hmm.
in her kitchen with her massive pepper grinder, and most of the story was about her. And it was totally different to what the journalist was looking for.
Okay.
So come up with something different. Don't be afraid to pitch it. The worst thing that they can do, well, there's two worst things, is they say no or they don't get back to you.
Mm-hmm.
So what have you lost? Nothing, because you've created a great piece of content that you can then repurpose into a blog or social media or a video or a webinar or, you know, or opt-in, an ebook. You know, there's just so many different ways you can use your content if a journalist says no.
Yeah, that's really interesting because I had a conversation with somebody yesterday and it was, well, I'm different to a personal trainer. I'm not a boot camp. I'm a very gentle trainer. It's just like, well, could we go with nurture camp? Just playing on that opposites that you were talking about there. When you say repurposing the content, can you explain what you mean by that?
Yeah, sure. All right, so let's go to a blog because more people write blogs than they do media releases.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at your blog, it's, you know, 300 to 400 words, and chances are is that it's filled with nuggets of gold. So you could take those 5 or 6 different nuggets of gold,
Mm-hmm.
and you could turn them into 5 or 6 different pieces of social media content. So Facebook. So you go and find a great picture to go with it. You go and use Canva. So that's canva.com. Awesome tool. Oh my God, it's the best thing I think I've ever found.
We love
you
it.
can go and upload your picture. It's amazing, absolutely amazing. Upload your picture, upload your quote, and then put it on your Facebook page. So that's one repurpose. So repurpose means reuse, recycle.
Mm-hmm.
So don't waste it. Well, how's another way I can use it? Another way, you could turn it into a media release. So a blog is typically written in first person.
Mm-hmm.
So a media release is typically written in third person. So you can then go through that blog, change it into direct quotes in third person. So instead of saying, I really believe that this, blah, 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 you'd put, Annette said, quote, one of the best ways to get free publicity for your business is to do this, end quote. Change your headline, change your intro a little bit, then you've got a media release. So out of that blog, you've created 5 or 6 social media posts and a media release.
Mm-hmm.
And if we go back to Canva, they've got an awesome array of infographic templates. You could then go create an infographic about those, you know, here are my top 5 tips on getting your media release written.
Mm-hmm.
And then you could do a Facebook Live. You know, hey, this is I'm really blah, blah, blah. Today I'm going to talk about the 5 ways that you can get PR for your business.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what you're going to learn today. Talk about it and then say, if you'd like to know more, just click down here and say, I'd like some more information. So what's that, 5 pieces?
Yeah.
So you turn that one piece into 5 pieces of content.
Yeah. Cool. So
are we allowed to talk?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, you can. We will allow it.
I'm talking.
That'll give me a chance to have a drink of water.
Great. No. So should we have a blog? I've got a Facebook page and an Instagram, but do you suggest having a blog where you rate, you know, say what you've been doing? Because lots of stuff have been happening for me in the last week, like massively.
Mm-hmm.
Should you be writing it in a blog so you can go back and grab it later?
I would say yes.
Absolutely, Fiona. Absolutely, 100% yes. And do you have a website?
No, these are all these things I need to learn.
Okay. So yes to a blog, and here's why I asked if do you have a website? Because if you're relying on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever, as your platform of connection with people, very powerful, awesome tools to use. However, what happens if you get banned off Facebook? Like I got banned for a week off Facebook because I posted a picture of my dog. I don't know what was offensive about my dog, but I got booted off.
What was the dog doing?
So he was just looking cute. He was lost, and I posted, and he had all his fur on.
Yeah.
So the reason I say you need a website is that that's your real estate, you own it, and you can put on there whatever you like, and it's a great place to put your blog, because when you're posting on Facebook or Instagram, you want to be leading people back to your website so they can see what you've created. They can get to know you, because people don't do business with people who are in business. They do business with people. So they don't care that I'm Publicity Genie. They don't care that you're Target, whatever. Most people just want to know that the person they're dealing with cares about them. And you can do that through your blog. They get to know you. They get to trust you. They get to like you.
And we talk about the know, like, trust factor a lot in branding. So incorporating that into our public relations activities is really what we want to do. And from our last workshop that you generously gave your time to, we had some fantastic results. And my book, that the Publicity Genie, is always out on loan. So I actually tagged you in some of the posts of Rowena. She did really well in that publicity. And what we've taken from that was, and the conversations I've had with Rowena since, was the follow-up was really important. So we got a press release out to people, and the follow-up, otherwise it would have got lost. Would you mind jumping in there and telling us a bit about how we can follow up and try and increase the conversions?
Absolutely. And the power in any transaction that you do in business, be it closing a sale or, you know, getting an answer to a question or getting a story in the paper or the media, is the follow-up. Because, as you just said, that sometimes this stuff gets lost, because they do get a lot of emails throughout the day. Most journalists are really busy people on tight deadlines. So, and like, I know this is going to surprise you, but they're human beings, and they sometimes miss things. So they miss stuff. And when you ring them up and you say, you know, hi Natasha, it's Annette from blah, blah, blah. I sent you a media release a couple of days ago about this topic. Just wondering if you'd like some more information. Oh no, I didn't get that. Oh, hang on. Let me check your email address and I'll send it to you right now. But what I also do before I start that is I always say to them, do you have time to talk? Because if they're on deadline or they're busy, you're going to get the short shaft, and you don't want to go away going, oh, all right, they're not very nice. But so if you say, do you have time? No, I'm really busy right now. When's a good time to talk? So you're respecting them, you're respecting their time. So the ways that you can follow up, and typically what I do is I send an email a couple of days after I've sent the media release, just going, hello, have you checked it? And then if I don't hear back from them after that, I ring them.
Yeah.
And I just say, hey, I sent this to you. Just wanted to see if you want some more information. I've got some great photos, or this is what's happened in between when I talk to you. I never say, did you get my media release? Because the chances are that no, they didn't, or they didn't see it. And journalists hate that question. So find a creative way of asking if they got it without saying, did you get it?
It's a closed question, isn't it? Yeah. Did you get it or didn't you get it? So talking of
Yeah,
photos, how important is it to include photos in a press release?
oh, look, a picture paints 1,000 words. If you've got a strong story that lends itself to images, include the photo. You know, particularly if you're talking about a product with your business or an event that you've done or something like that. Because if you're looking at like your smaller papers, like particularly your suburban ones, or digital online publications, they don't have a team that they can send out to do photos.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really important to invest in some great headshots and some great action shots. So if you're running an event, make sure you have an event photographer there.
Cool.
And yes, so I don't ever attach a photo. I always send a Dropbox link.
Okay.
Because what happens a lot of the time is their security may not allow it through, and there's another reason why you don't hear back from them. So I always send a link, and I send low res, and then that gives me an opportunity to call back and say, hey, I sent you this release the other day. Oh, my God, this is what's happened since then. I sent you some low res images. Can I send you the high res ones? Would you like to use them? Just to give you that opportunity to have a conversation with them.
Yeah. The other thing that we've noticed, which I'd just like to get your commentary on, is past media gets new media. So the businesses that we've had that you know, put the press releases out and that got coverage from it, the media was then coming to them for future stories. Can you guide us a little bit on that, how that works? So have I explained that right? Like,
well, yes, so you're talking about the, you know, you then become a person of authority.
Correct.
And what we call a great source.
Mm-hmm.
So that comes from either having, you know, a really awesome story to start with, and that you've interviewed well, you've been useful, helpful, you know, not a pain in the backside. So, you know, you've just made it easy for the journalist. You give them everything that they need that allows them to get that story over the line. And then they start, you know, when they're sitting there going, oh, I've got a story, another story about, you know, healthy treats for dogs. And I spoke to Julie last time. Wow, she was really easy to work with. She's on top of my list. So then they ring you back for another story. But also, it's about that persistence. So you may not have had your story picked up, but every month you go back to that publication with a different angle, a different story, you know, just being persistent and consistent.
Yeah.
And eventually, you know, like it's called, you know, pleasant stalking, is that you start to stand out to them.
We all do a bit
when they
of
go,
pleasant
oh,
stalking.
Well, we do. I mean, there's nothing, as long as it doesn't involve standing outside someone's window, you know, it should be fine. But with the journalist,
the other thing I did, Natasha, is after they printed the story, I then emailed the journalist back and thanking him. So I thanked him for writing a really great story, and he wrote me back actually after that, after I thanked him, and said, oh, look, I would love to have written more.
Wow.
Oh, that's awesome, Rowena.
Building relationship and keeping me fresh in his mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, great instincts, absolutely. I always write back to any journalist that has run a story for my clients, thanking them and letting them know I appreciated their time and that I'd shared their story around, just so they know, like I said, they're human, and we all like to be thanked for doing a good job, and there's nothing wrong with that. And it keeps you front of mind, because they like working with people who are no hassle, and they like working with people who've got great stories, who understand what makes a great story.
Fantastic.
I've been approached by a designer in Mackay who's asked for my wall hanging, which I've made for a bride-to-be, which I was posting yesterday, to actually have it in her photography shoot on Saturday. She's known internationally as well as in Australia. So how could I use that? obviously I have asked her if she does use it, that she is using it, will I be acknowledged and my business be acknowledged? And she said, yeah, that's how we work with the photographer, the model, and her designs. So what can I do with that?
Whereabouts are you based, Fiona?
Mackay.
Mackay. You can always, like if this person's a big name, then you can always, you know, go to the, is it the Mercury in Mackay?
Yeah.
Yeah, go to the Mercury to the art section and, you know, let the journalist know that your work is being used by this international artist to do whatever it is that she's doing. Can you attend the event that you attend? I have to get my photo taken with her in front of your piece. I would even say, can I do a Facebook Live interview with you? And, you know, interview her and say, why is it that you picked my piece? What is it that you liked about it? You know, how's it being used? So you get her words talking about how amazing that you are. And then I'd share the daylights out of it. I'd share it across social media. And, you know, in groups that you're in, I'd be bragging about it because that's really, really cool. And then if you don't contact the media beforehand, contact the journalist after with the photos. You know,
that might be
local,
better. Yep.
Yeah, local artists, you know, schmoozing with the bigwigs, you know, something like that.
Yeah, it was very exciting. I got that message at like 11 o'clock on Saturday night. I'm like, wow.
Exciting.
And it was just a Facebook upload.
Yeah.
Of a really
That's incredible. Congratulations. Because what you're getting there is the power of third-party credibility. Someone else has seen your work and thought this is worthy enough to put on a larger platform. So that's awesome. Well done.
You mentioned in your book third-party credibility, and that I think that's really relevant because then you've got somebody else endorsing you. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because in the groups we're talking about creating presence and credibility, and when we've got a third-party credibility, it takes it to that next level, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It ramps it up. You know, if you think about the difference between advertising and public relations, advertising is you standing there going, well, look at me, I'm awesome. And as Australians, what do we think of people like that? We go,
oh, we love them.
You know, we love them, yeah. We kind of like go, what a tosser, or he's, you know, he's too big for his britches, or she's got a big head, and you know,
we call them tall poppy slayers. That's what we call them.
Yes, that's right. We slash them down. But if you get a journalist writing about you, or you're interviewed on a radio program, or you're in a magazine, or a famous artist is using your work, that's someone else saying, this person is amazing. You should see what they're doing. I really like what they do. They've made a difference in my life. And we tend to listen to them more than we do. Like, I could sit here and tell you how awesome I am. And you just like go, oh, yes, geez. Like, is there enough room in a car for a head? But if Natasha sat there and said, oh, my God, you know, Annette's book's amazing, and she's really easy to work with, and she gets great results, and she's helped people, you tend to listen more. You know, that's word of mouth. That's referral marketing. And public relations, using the media, is probably the most powerful form of that because it's so public, because it's seen by so many people. So, you know, I've had a client who was on a current affair. She's been on there a few times. And every time she's on a current affair, she's seen by 1.2 million people. And her phone just goes ballistic after, because she's interesting, she's knowledgeable, and she's providing a really great service for all types of people. Mm-hmm. So, you know, that's a current affair saying to their 1.2 million viewers that this person is solid enough that we're prepared to give them 3 minutes on our incredibly expensive time slot.
Mm. It's amazing.
What sort of thing would she be talking about on that show? What would she be generally doing?
Well, the first story that she was on, they changed the property laws in Ipswich, down just outside Brisbane, and instead of only being able to use a granny flat for granny, you are now able to use it as an investment property. So you could have another investment property on your existing land, and that was pretty big news. But it was, like for mainstream media, it was pretty boring. Property publications, yet really interesting.
But you had something that a lot of people would be generally interested in anyway, so it wasn't something out of the blue. She's talking about something that's relevant to people, property and whatnot. Okay, carry on. Thank you.
That's right. So she's now their property expert. But if you watch A Current Affair, there's all types of stories on there. And what A Current Affair, for all the bad press that they get about, chasing people down the street and sensationalising, they like helping people. So if you've got an unusual, they like helping people. You look at the number of stories that they do where they've helped someone raise money for a medical condition or because they've been ripped off by somebody. They love those stories. So yeah, they love chasing the bad guy down the street, but they also like being in a position where they can help someone out.
Yeah, you've got to have your feel-good stories too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So one of the questions that Rowena put on the Facebook group was, whilst Rowena's been successful getting publicity and credibility locally, how can that be extended so in other areas such as Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne?
Okay, yeah, I saw that question. It's a great question. My thoughts, I'd have to go back and look at Rowena's stuff, which I will do, Rowena, but when you're pitching outside your local area, you've then got to come up with an angle that would be of interest to that new area. So like the Courier Mail, it's statewide. So, how does that impact the Queensland area rather than just your local area? Maybe changing the angle a little bit to nationalise or make the story statewide. Go to a different section of the paper. Maybe it's a feature. Maybe you go to something like New Weekend. So when you wrote that, Rowena, you didn't say what section of the paper you took it to. So who did you approach?
That's a good question. I think I just sent it to the general connection I could find on the internet. So like when they have send your stories here or something like that.
Okay.
That was where I sent it to.
I would target someone specifically, but like that,
right.
Obviously that email gets looked at, but sometimes it's by, a cadet or an admin person, and they don't always can look at that and see the different angles. So if you pitch that to the business section, and you pitch that with a business angle, then they're more inclined to pick it up because you show an understanding of how the area works. And maybe, you look outside traditional media and you look at, have you been on ABC Radio?
No.
Yeah, you could approach ABC Radio in your local area because they often run in their space, but it can be, oh God, what's the word I'm looking for? You don't know what the word I'm looking for is, because it won't come to my head. Syndicated, there it is, syndicated across the country, which again makes it's just about taking that story and going, what are the different angles that I can use out of this, and then go looking for a media to match it to, so you can take it further afield than where you are. But if you wouldn't mind just sending me again the media that you've received, I'll have a look at it and come back to you with some suggestions.
That'd be great, and I'll send you the release that I put together that had started all of that.
And would you mind posting that release in the group, Rowena, so people can see what the media release that you prepared look like?
Absolutely.
Would that be okay?
Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
So
Thank you.
in terms of how do people acquire this knowledge? Like, we can have this conversation with you, Annette, and it's always awesome to get you in front of people where they can engage with you. But how can people find out more information on how to generate their own publicity without actually having to spend, you know, a fortune with a PR consultant?
Well, Google is your friend. You can go, there's heaps of resources out there that you can tap into. I know this really cool chick who's got a do your own PR training. Her name's Annette. I really like her. But I deliver my own PR training, so it's a 5-module program called How to Be Your Own Publicity Genie, based on the book, but it's webinars and videos and worksheets and templates, and so I take you through the whole book, but you know, it's a little more in-depth because you've got me talking about it. So I do that, and that's $497
Wow.
to do that program, and you get everything that I have to help you, plus a question and answer webinar once a month where you go, hey, I've written this media release, can we review it as part of the group, that type of stuff. But yeah, I mean, there is a lot of stuff on Google as well.
Yeah, and people can just buy the book, can't they, as well?
And people can just buy the book and work it through themselves. So it's a workbook. So, you know, almost everything I know about PR, I said that to my son, this is everything that I know. And he went, it's not a very big book, Mum, for everything you know. And I went, oh my God, I love you. Thank
That's
you.
just kids.
Yeah, it's just kids. Like, he's my biggest fan. But the book is, you know, 152 pages of start to finish.
Cool. So if people were to do 2 things after this discussion, what would you suggest that they do?
All right.
What 2 actions could they take? I know it's a general question, which is that big.
Buy my book and learn how to do it properly. So I'm going to do 3. That's my smart-ass answer.
Yep.
Number 2 is go and review your platforms that you're using. Go see what your bio says about you. You know, is it interesting? Does it really highlight the expert or the authority or the specialist that you are in your area? Do you have good headshots? If I came and looked at you as a journalist, would I see a great source, someone who can give me good information? And my 3rd one is I would suggest that you go sign up with sourcebottle.com. It is a really great platform to connect you with journalists and bloggers and all types of amazing people who are looking for great sources, great content, thought leaders, for people to blog for them, for people to write articles for them. And it's all there written in front of you, and you just have to fill in the text field, which will, you know, give them all the information they need. You don't have to do a great deal of prep, and it comes into your inbox twice a day, and you can pick and choose which ones you want to answer.
Okay. And we'll post the link of that up on the Facebook group.
Yeah. Oh, and one more, because I'm an overachiever and I've got to do 4.
Yeah.
Is that, but I don't want to give you too much. I would brainstorm all the things that you can speak about with authority, because when we're talking about writing blogs, is that a lot of people get stuck like with, well, what am I going to write about? Brainstorm all the things that you're good at, all the problems you solve for your clients and your customers, and all the things you get asked on a regular basis. And I reckon that you'll come up with a page of different topics that you can write about.
Cool. Well, we have some things to do.
Yes, homework. I will be checking.
Awesome. Does anybody else have any questions for Annette whilst we have her? No?
I do, but I don't want to start up a whole thing again. No.
I reckon Annette can handle it.
I can handle it. Go for it, Scott.
Well,
Hit me with it.
Okay. It's not really a question. It's just a fundamental sort of thing, right? Now, just pretend I'm a really shy person. I've got absolutely nothing to say about myself. I don't know how to start contemplating writing anything about ever.
Okay.
I make guitar. It's just a big deal. I can't see how this is newsworthy other than Wheel & Guitar Device sells new product for $3. I can't see how I'm newsworthy to anyone. You see what I mean? I said that.
Oh, look, hey,
Well, also,
just
to make it clear, I just add one thing. I can't see how anyone is newsworthy. I don't think I've ever read anything on news that's about anything except for a car crash. You know what I mean?
Well, you're a hard audience, Scott.
I know that we talked about it when Natasha was suggesting that with my guitar thing, I have something that's of interest to a journalist, but I'm still sort of going, I don't see the interest apart from selling a product, which I don't know what to do about myself. I mean, I will take your advice and I will start doing those things. I'm going to write a page about myself. I'm going to write in capital letters. I'm going to underline it.
And he loves lists. Scott loves lists.
I've got no problem with that. But
you'll be cool with the list of stories. Okay, now let's go back.
Okay.
Okay, so who would be interested in stories about what you do, which is make guitars? So the first thing that pops up is you make guitars. So acoustic guitars, electric guitars.
Well, really, we make little products to play them, guitar and guitar cases. Nothing really that exciting. It's kind of like, I mean, they're exciting products and all of that, but just if you kind of look at it, it's just like another guitar accessory company.
Yep, cool. Has anyone famous ever bought your products?
No. I've sort of got some, design features that I'm trying to keep under wraps until I've got all the full patent protection and whatnot.
Okay, well, there's a potential angle down the track.
That's exactly one thing I do have to. Yeah, down the track, I know for a fact that I'll be able to do it, but it seems like at this point I wouldn't even know what to start writing about myself and what I've got coming up and anything like that. I guess what I have literally just
how did you get into your business?
Well, I've just been sort of doing it for so many years, and then it sort of came about, and then one thing led to another, and then I get into Nice, and then next thing you know, I'm meeting Natasha, and down the line, and here we are. We're registered, and we're doing all the stuff. But, it's my life. It's all I do. So I was just always
going to do this. It's a great story. So, one, like a great way to promote the program. I can't answer you if you keep talking.
Well, that's why I said I didn't want to ask the question, because it's really a rhetorical question, but I think I've got an idea now.
Well, no, it's not a rhetorical question. I think Annette's got some really good value to add here.
I've got some answers for you, and I won't go on forever, but you just talked about how you got into the Nice program. So have a think about this. The story doesn't always have to be about exactly what you're doing. So the story could be about, here's this dude who's been doing this for years, just because he loves what he does, discovers the Nice program, and it becomes a business. And he's got all of these plans, and he's going, this is what he's going to do. That's a great story, great local story. Where do you live, Scott?
I don't have the question, because I wouldn't have thought that was a story. I thought that's the thing you keep very quiet.
Absolutely. Do you know what stories people love to read the most? They're the stories about human connection, human adversity, human triumph. We love the underdog story, and journalists love the underdog story. You could write blogs about, the process that you go through to make your product. You could write, are you a muso? Do you play music?
Yes, I am, and yes, I do.
Okay, so you could be writing about that. How did you come up with this product? And it could be around, obviously, a gap you saw in the market. So you could write articles about that and send them to business publications, because while your product is unique to you, the challenges that you face in building your business are common across the board. So you could give your perspective on that, because you sound like a pretty switched on, thoughtful person. So
Oh, I'm thoughtful
people,
and switched on to my question there.
so people would want to learn from you. So just stop thinking about your product per se, but how you can solve other people's problems in terms of building their business. But go back, your story about how you got into Nice is a great one.
Okay, well, okay, I understand what you're saying now. Like, it has to be about, well, me, or about thing. It can't just be about the stupid, speed, or whatever it might be.
But you know what? There's heaps of music publications out there that do product placement on new and up-and-coming products. That's also PR. PR doesn't have to be about writing media releases. It can be about celebrity gifting. It can be about sending your stuff in to a magazine. They take a photo of it with your website and you start getting orders trickling because people go, oh my God, I didn't even know they were out there. And I have 50.
I honestly haven't thought of anything except for each product has its own ad and a price on it, and that's it. No conversation needs to be, nothing needs to happen. But apparently that's completely wrong.
It's not completely wrong. It's
Well,
just
okay, I'm going to have to
add different layers.
Yeah. Okay. No, I know what you're talking about, and yeah, I'm going to pull my head out of my butt. That's what I'm going to do.
Excellent, and that's recorded, Scott.
Oh, yeah.
If you can't come up with a story, I've got a friend who has started Huxley Press. It's an arty magazine and in Townsville, and you could post pitch it to her. And if I'll post the link to Huxley Press.
There you go.
In the message.
Fantastic. Well,
so because she started, I'm sure she's looking for articles.
Good
Well, that's very
networking.
interesting.
Cool.
That's exactly it. Look at me go.
No worries. And then I'll let you go now.
Website?
Sorry.
All righty. Well, it's been a
About how to
pleasure as
make a
always,
website.
and I'm glad that I could help. So if anyone wants to connect with me on Facebook, please do. And I'm more than happy because I know when you listen to stuff like this, you might not know what your question is at the time. So if you come up with a question down the track, just Facebook me, and I'll give you a reasonably short answer if I can.
Fantastic.
Thanks, Annette.
Thanks so much, Annette. It was always it's always great to talk to you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks,
Have a great.
Annette.
Bye.
Bye.
See you later.
Okay, bye everybody. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Natasha. That was great. Bye-bye.
Thanks.